What is up, survivors? Today we are going to be going over another mod review. This one is TCs Auto Rewards mod. This is a pretty cool automated mod to add a currency system or reward system for any server that you're running. PvP, PvE, or sort of an RP style, whatever you're working with, and we'll go over it. It's fairly simple. There are some changes to the INI that you can make, and we'll go over some of those things and also put the link to the workshop in the description of the video so you guys can check that out. Basically, the only thing that you're going to really need to make for this mod is this reward vault, and I'll pull this guy up right here. So the vault is right here. You just need hide, metal, stone, and wood to make it, and it's just a vault. It just clips onto the wall when you make it. It just clips to the wall. It doesn't actually stick out of the back or anything, so it's really small. It kind of looks like a vault, just smaller, obviously. Anywho, when you open this up, if you're opening it up as any person without admin privileges, the only menu you're going to see in this middle is the reward menu here. You're not going to see the admin menu unless you're playing on a server and have admin enabled, or if you're playing on single player. So you probably won't be using this in single player because you could just give yourself the stuff that you would want or whatever. But the idea is to be able to automate a lot of this stuff into like a server role sort of thing. So what we do is we're going to pull up the admin menu, and let's say if you're running the server, if you had admin privileges, this is how you would do a lot of these things. You have these options on the side here. You have players, packs, and logs, and then the credits as well. But the players themselves will be listed here. Now you can add players specifically. Like I'm playing single player right now, so I had to add the player specifically, and you can put in the player name and the Steam ID. But typically what I've noticed is that this auto on our server, our community server running right now, it'll auto populate all of the player names actually on the side here so that you can pick and choose them as well. And you'll be able to update it if the player name changes, or if you want to change their current currency or whatever the case is. The Ark here, the ARC, that's the currency in which you will use to buy items and give out items and things like that in the game. So essentially the way this works is you'll be able to configure in the INIs, and there'll be INI settings within the workshop page of how to set these up. But basically you can set rewards up for players. They're going to earn currency. Now they can earn currency over time, and you set the amount and you set the time. Or they can do it at like a daily sort of setup. And again, you set the time at login, they get X amount of credits, whatever the case is. It's pretty straightforward. And then you can also just give players credits as well. You like my current is 0. I can change this to, because I logged in here as admin, I could change it to 40. Hit update, it notifies me up top, says blah 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 blah, but updated, and I've got 40. So if I go back over my player right now, I now have 40. So you can also change that on a whim as an admin too. So like if you're doing an event, I guess, and somebody wins whatever the event is, you can just immediately credit them those things as well. So the packs are where you really set up everything as far as what options are available to players to buy. So from a user point, they'll basically just go to the reward menu here and they'll pick the pack that they want. Now we don't have anything there, but we can show you real quick how to set one up. So we go back to the admin menu, we can check this packs option. And let's go to, we can pick a name for it. Let's say we're gonna call it, I don't know. Let's give ourselves T-Rexes. So we can do items and we can also do dinos. So we're going to do dinos first time. So we have a Rex, right? We're going to name it Rex. We're going to set the cost of what it has to be. Maybe, I don't know. We're going to say it costs 5 credits to do that. Now you can change this to admin only, so only your admins can do it. You can set a cooldown. You can set a purchase limit to how many they can buy. A level requirement, you can put all that stuff in there, so it's fully customizable. We're just going to do just the bare necessities just to kind of show you how this works. So we're going to say a Rex, we're going to say it costs 5, and we're going to hit add pack. So now we have, in this default category, we have a Rex pack over here. So now all we have to do is add the dino to the pack. So let's say we add the dino, and you have a cool little filter. You can filter this by land, water, flyers, or whatever, but you should also be able to just search for it in here, I believe. There we go. So if I expand the land, you still, once you search up here, you would still have to expand the category, but it only lists the Rexes, right? So let's say we add 2 Rexes in here, and it's going to be 1. We can make it 2. We can change the level, like we can change it to level 100. We can change that. We can choose, so you can choose whether or not the players will have a gender choice as well, if it's neutered or not, or if they'll have multiple choices of which creatures they can have. So basically, there's a lot of different customizable options, but we're just going to do the bare bones so that you understand exactly how that works. So now that we have the Rex and everything set up, we just hit update pack here. Everything's updated. So if we go back to that pack, we go to the Rex. So we named it Rex for 5 credits. It's going to give us a level 100 Rex. It's a level 100. It doesn't imply any taming bonuses. So if you want to take that in consideration, like if your max level is 150 and you want to give everybody like 100% taming effectiveness when you do this, then you want to put a 225 creature in there instead. But basically that's how it works. It's pretty cut and dry. So let's say we do an item as well, right? So how do we do that? The same principle. So what we do is we get out of this, because we want a blank. I always toggle back and forth. That way it's blank up here and I'm not messing anything up. Kind of covers my butt. Anywho, so let's say, well, we want to be able to get the saddle for the Rex too. So let's do Rex saddle. And let's say that's going to cost, I don't know, we're going to make it 3. Same thing. I can set all of these things up, but I'm not doing it. I'm just making it bare bones so you guys understand briefly what's going to happen here. So we hit add pack. We have the Rex saddle. So we choose the Rex saddle and we go to add items instead. And from here, we have all sorts of different stuff in here. But again, let's just search for Rex to make our lives easier and then just expand the saddle section. We have the tech saddle and the regular saddle. So we're going to add the saddle in here. We can change it to whether it's going to be a blueprint or it's going to be multiple choice of what they're going to get. We can change how many saddles it's going to get in here as well. You can change all this stuff, which is super cool. The other option that you can get, let's say you wanted to add something like a better Rex saddle versus like just a normal saddle. If you get the blueprint path for it, you can actually paste the blueprint path in here and customize it that way to give yourself a better quality saddle. You just find that command to get the better saddle and you throw it in this blueprint path, and that way you'll have a better saddle immediately too. So you can give people better quality ramshackle, apprentice, ascendant, whatever the case is. But we're just going to do a primitive saddle again, just to kind of keep things simple. And we got the saddle, we got everything set up. We just hit update pack here. In our default categories, we now have the Rex saddle and the T-Rex itself. So let's say I'm a player, right? So I'm a player, I want to buy something, I got credits, I roll up to this vault, I check the reward menu because that admin menu wouldn't be there for me normally if I was just a regular player. Here are my 2 options. I can buy a Rex saddle, it tells me what the armor and the durability is in it, and I can buy a Rex here as well. So let's say, all right, well, let's buy a Rex. So we click on this and we hit purchase. It tells me how many I have, what it's going to cost, what my balance is going to be afterwards. We hit purchase. Bam, purchase complete. I now have a T-Rex right here. Summons a T-Rex at level 100. Gender will be random and not neutered. So we can do that. And then we can also, let's go in and get a saddle for him too. We got a saddle. Again, it's going to cost 3. Tells me what the balance is. Bam, saddle as well. Pretty simple. Hit 1, bam, saddle, or no, the T-Rex, sorry. T-Rex is here, level 100. And then we, boop, drop the saddle on top of him, and now we have a T-Rex. Pretty cool. They will act just like they are, like if you just tamed them, so they probably will be on attack my target, and they'll also be on follow as well, so you want to make sure you're checking all that stuff too. It'll be just as if you just tamed it, but you won't have the taming effectiveness on there. This is a really cool way to add creatures that aren't normally on your map as well. So from an admin menu, and we go back to this pack option, and we can just change this to just test or whatever, just to kind of show you exactly what I'm talking about here. And just, you can even change the cost to 0 if you don't want people to have to pay for it. Let's say we just add the test one in here just so we can kind of customize it and show you what I'm talking about here. All of the creatures are listed in here, so we can add creatures that aren't normally on your map. So if you're playing on a map with very restricted tames, but you still want to give your players access to some tames, you can add those in there, and you can either set an amount, or you could just set it to 0 if you want those to be free, or you can, like I said, you can set a charge amount, so that way you have to do this. I like this option because it kind of bypasses the need to add simple spawners or to add creature spawns to a map that you really like. You can pretty much just pick and choose the creatures that you want to add and have them in here. Granted, you don't have to go tame them or find them or anything, so that kind of eliminates some of the challenge, but it does eliminate some of the headache when you're trying to configure this stuff. I think it's definitely an easier route to go for sure. You can also summon all the bosses this way too, which is pretty crazy. Bring all the bosses in to fight you. Now, the modded section, I have I'm not sure why coalfish are in here, but the dire polar bear is like a separate polar bear, so I get that. This mod will actually pick and pull from different other mods that you have installed. For instance, if you're running Kraken's Better Dinos, you'll see the Kraken's Better Dinos versions of the creatures in there that just give the players instead of giving the player and then having converted over. If you were using something like Primal Fear or Pugnacia or whatever, you're going to have all those different dinos listed in there so that you'll be able to add all those two in there. That's just the dinos portion of this. The items also qualify as well, and every item that you can think of is in here. All of your weapons, your ammo, attachments, armor, all of it's in here. All your saddles, all your different structures, your resources, all your consumables. So the other thing about, and this is why I wanted to get to the consumables, is you can change these up, right? So you can change these arc bars, titanium, iridium, platinum, thorium, corium, I guess is how you pronounce that. But the idea is to add even more tiers to it. Sort of kind of how, like pennies and dollars and things like that. You can kind of do the same thing here, and incorporate a bunch of different kinds of currency. I think this is really effective if you're doing like a really cool RP sort of setup, or if you have cross arc enabled and you have a bunch of servers clustered together. I think this would probably work really well with that. But I like the option to get as crazy as you want with this and as far down the rabbit hole as you want, or to keep things very basic. All of your eggs are in here too. You can buy eggs. All of your dyes in here. You can add anything. Artifacts are kind of cool. We just found this out on where we're playing a community server on Genesis using the superstructures mod. Well, part of the superstructures mod actually requires artifacts to build some of the end game structures. Well, as you know, there's no artifacts on Genesis, so we were able to just add these in here so players can still build that stuff. You have all these options. You can add loot crates. You can buy people loot crates, so it's kind of like a random, you never know what you're going to get sort of thing. That's a pretty cool option as well. Some of these undefined are just things that don't really fall into any sort of category. They're kind of in the miscellaneous section. But again, it seems to pick up any mods for items and dinos that you have. They end up being populated in this list, so you're going to have access to all of that stuff as well. This is definitely for those of an admin or people that have admin privileges that are looking for an easier way to reward their players. I think this is definitely a mod to look at because it's super simple to use. And super simple for your community to use. They literally just need to build that vault and bring up their menu, and they can see how many credits they have and what they can buy. So it makes it really easy, and you can start off with something very simple as far as the configuration goes, and then slowly make it more in depth if you want to. I think this mod definitely works on regardless of what type of server you're running. I think anything where you're trying to run a reward system in. So if you're on a PvP server and you want to have rewards for people that are successfully defending their bases or conquering other people or winning fights, this is a easy way to do that. If you're running a PvE and just want to do some cool events, this is definitely a way to do that. If you're doing like an RP sort of build, I think this is almost mandatory for something like this because it makes it so much easier to maintain and navigate through. We've just started playing with this mod, and I really enjoyed, especially having a community server and being able to reward the players with whatever almost immediately. I think is a super plus and definitely useful in just about anything that I can possibly think of. Anywho, guys, that's it. That's a TC Auto Rewards mod. It's a fairly simple mod, fairly short mod review. I apologize for some of these being really short, but it is a really cool mod, and I think it has a lot to offer, so I highly suggest to check this one out. But as always, guys, please remember, hit that like button, hit that sub button. We'll have a link to this mod in the description of the video so you guys can check that out at your leisure. And as always, I'll see you on the next one.